this is Joseph Lucero with Powerlifting Technique, and today what we're going to talk about is how to perform the leg extension, the do's, the don'ts, how to make this exercise harder, what muscles am I truly using during a leg extension exercise, and then other exercises that are similar to the leg extension. When it comes down to performing the leg extension, you're isolating the knee joint, and it's hard to do that with other exercises because a lot of them are compound movements. So we have compound movements that are multi-joint movements, and then we have isolated movements, which are one joint of movement. So to replicate this exercise is tricky, but we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. Let's just focus on the leg extension in general. So the leg extension exercise recruits all the muscles that correspond to the knee joint, and that's gonna be your quadricep muscles. You have 4 of them. The main one that builds that teardrop down your thigh is called the rectus femoris. Underneath that is the vastus intermedius, and then you have the vastus medialis and vastus lateralis. Like I said, the rectus femoris is the main one most people see when they look at the aesthetic of the quadricep, and the rectus femoris is also a hip flexor. So anytime you raise your legs up and you feel that burn in your legs, is because you're recruiting that quadricep muscle. Now, like I told you guys, the knee joint is the main part of this movement. In fact, it's the only joint of this movement. Everything else needs to be fixated. So how do you perform the leg extension? What you want to do is you got a back pad, you got the bottom pad, you have the axis of rotation, and that needs to correspond really well with the knee joint. So if I was too tall, like right here, if I was too tall for that rotation of movement, that would put me out of position and you would start feeling things in areas that maybe you shouldn't feel them. But for the most part, you want to support your back, support your legs, make sure the knee joint is at the end of the board. And then with your feet, a lot of times the leg extension movement rolls, the bottom part rolls up your shin. So right here, if I was to remove my legs, you would want that padding right at the bottom of your leg, maybe not on top of your ankle, but as you extend up, it's gonna roll. And if you set up too high, you might get to the middle of the shin, and that's gonna change how resistance is displaced on the knee joint. The further this pad is from your knee joint, the harder this movement becomes. So obviously you want it as low as possible, but you want to get it to where the ankle flexes. You don't want to get it to where the padding causes your flexion to go downward. But once you've been set up and you have the handles, or just hold on to the board or the machine in general, you're gonna make sure you support your back, face forward, extend up, and then bring it down. Extend up, bring it down. So it's a very simple exercise to do. You just have to make sure the knee joint corresponds to rotation of the machine. The padding on the bottom is at the lower leg, not on top of the ankle. And you support your back and let the machine just take over. And now you're gonna massively recruit these quadricep muscles. And some people, including myself, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, the leg extension exercise gets easier and easier because we're also quad dominant with our movement. We might be pushing the whole stack. Like right here, I'm pushing like 8 plates just for demonstration, but this just feels like nothing to me, even after a series of reps. So from there, what I could do is I could put the whole stack on there, I can lift it and perform it, but after a while, you get so good at the leg extension movement, it's hard for it to make you exhausted. So what are some things that we could do to make the leg extension movement harder? One thing I would recommend right off the bat is focus on the eccentric aspect of movement. And a lot of people talk about eccentrics. Essentially, your muscles will shorten during the desired movement and then stretch during the undesirable part, okay? That happens more times than not. There are movements that contradicts, but for the most part, my muscle's gonna shorten so that I'm strong enough to lift it up, and then my quadricep muscles are gonna stretch to the bottom, shorten to the top, stretch to the bottom. Now, the downward stretch is the eccentric. This is the concentric, like when I concentrate the most. You hear that? Concentric, concentrate. And then the eccentric's the stretch. What you could do is you could come up normal and then come down slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 seconds, and then come back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there now, I'm starting to feel exhaustion in my thighs. But what are your goals? If you want to be a strength athlete, you want to lift the most weight possible. If you're a size building athlete, then maybe the weight doesn't matter as much as how exhausted you feel from movement. So those eccentrics could be really good for someone who wants to build size, but for someone who wants to build strength, that might contradict what you're trying to do. Now, if you are trying to build strength, then one of the things I would mention is to do like dead stop reps. So you could put the whole stack on there, whatever you want to do, but you'll lift up, come down nice and easy, let it rest. Do you hear that clean? Up, let it rest. So what you're doing is you're coming up, coming down with establishing tension still, like keeping tension, so don't just drop the weight. Come down with focus, let it rest, lift up, let it rest, lift up, let it rest. And from there, because they're dead stop reps, you're going through all different types of phases of contractions. You're going into from resting to shortening, which is very hard. And then you got the stretch, the exhausted part. You're rested, concentric, eccentric, rested. So having to go from a rested state to a contracted state is very hard and could be, in a way, challenging for your strength. If you think about it, deadlifts, you go from 0 to 100, you go from a rested state to a contracted state. That could maybe make sense for you. So that would be a good idea to try to do dead stop reps if you're trying to do strength and mix it up. Now, another way to do leg extensions is to change your toe placement. One thing I advocate for female athletes, because females typically have wider hips, is what happens with their leg anatomy, if their hips are wide and their knee joint stays in the same position, if their knees get wider, now their femurs are diagonal and they put a lot of pressure on the inside of the knee. That's why a lot of female athletes have knee pain or knee injuries, because their hips are wider, their knees are still in the same position, so now those femurs tilt inward versus the person where the femurs are just vertical to the floor. So what you can do is check out my toes. Instead of being upright, you can point outward, and immediately I'm feeling pressure on the inside of the knee, and I'm working my vastus medialis muscle. So keep my toes out, keep my toes out, and now instead of putting primary focus on my rectus femoris and things like that, I'm putting more pressure on my inside quadricep muscle, and that can help with stability and maintaining leverage when I feel pressure inside my knee joint when I perform if I'm a female athlete. So a lot of times people who just want to build balanced quads will do some reps toes forward or some reps toes outward. So that's a good option too. Now, some people will tell me, hey, if you want to build your quadriceps, another good leg extension exercise is like Bulgarian split squats. But the problem is this: when you think about the Bulgarian split squat, you're working not just the knee joint, but the hip joint too. So with this machine, it's 100% knee joint, which is 100% quadriceps, and that's it. So that is the primary focus. So with all that being said, I definitely think the leg extension exercise is great. It does become easy at some point, so try different techniques. If you're a size builder, work on eccentrics. If you're a strength builder, dead stop reps. If you are an athlete who wants to work the inside of your knee joint, like a female athlete would, for strength and stability, toes outward to help out. Other exercises like squats, Bulgarian split squats, things like that will build your quads, but you're also giving love to the hips too, so kind of makes it tricky in that sense. But all in all, it's a great exercise, it's a great tool. I would definitely add it at the end of your leg day. I would do it once or twice a week, and I would do it maybe 3 to 5 sets. But if you're someone who's a powerlifter or a strongman who does a lot of natural leg extension movements with their event training, I wouldn't worry too much about leg extensions as much. I would do it, but I wouldn't do it too much. But if you're a size building athlete who doesn't perform strength competitions, then maybe you can do it a little bit more. So again, my name is Joseph Lucero with Powerlifting Technique. I hope you loved the video. If you have questions or concerns, leave a comment below, subscribe, like the channel, and we'll see you soon.